Hey, folks, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. We really do appreciate it. What's going on in Belfast? What's going on in our own country? Pretty incredible stuff. I would say what's going on in Belfast is not actually happening in a vacuum. So let's kind of do a recap, shall we? For years, you've got ordinary people like you and me. We've been told that mass immigration is inevitable, that questioning it is unacceptable, and that the concerns of local communities don't matter. I mean, the politicians tell us that with their actions. Now the tension has been building beneath the surface, and it's impossible to ignore. I mean, cars are on fire in Ireland. They're reportedly going house to house in immigrant homes and burning them to the ground. The argument from the political class, though, has always been that diversity automatically makes a society stronger, which is insane. That is a lie. That's not true. History shows the more fragmented a population becomes, the harder it is for people to actually unite around common interests or values. Our goals are different, but here is the wicked, sinister truth that I think is kind of being missed by this. It's actually a manipulation tactic for elites to maintain power, because when citizens share less culture, less history, less identity, organizing against powerful institutions, the people that are your leaders, becomes far more difficult. Mass immigration isn't simply about compassion or economics. It's a political project, and a population divided into competing groups is easier to manage than a population that sees itself as one community with, a shared history. I don't know, what's the original definition of nation, the actual definition of nation, a people of a common ancestry and a common language. It becomes very difficult, and that's what we're seeing. People who are busy arguing with each other are less likely to challenge the people at the top, and the Irish have had enough, and they've figured out this immigration shell game that's being played on them for decades. Governments across the West have ignored concerns about immigration for decades. And when leaders refuse to listen, frustration grows and it boils over. Belfast may be the latest example of that reality, but you and I both know it won't be the last. As for Americans, we shouldn't dismiss what's going on over there, and many of us are not, thankfully. It's not just Belfast's problem. It's not just somebody else's problem. We should take a hard look in the mirror. What's going on here? The same forces that have divided communities across Europe have been at work here for decades. In America, every major issue is immediately filtered through race, identity, and tribal politics, instead of asking whether justice was served, or whether laws are being applied fairly, or whether public policy is working. The conversation quickly becomes a battle between competing groups. Look at the reaction to Karmelo Anthony in the verdict there. He murdered Austin Metcalf, and only gets 35 years and will likely be out in 17 years for taking the life of Austin Metcalf. I'm outraged by that. I know you're outraged by that. But many American blacks think Karmelo is the real victim. So how do we reconcile that? How do you move forward into society when that, something so basic, self-evident, is refuted? They refuse to admit that Karmelo was the aggressor. The result is that Americans will end up arguing with each other, like we're seeing out on the streets outside of the Dallas courthouse there. And we're just not going to really ask about any bigger questions. So we're a divided country, divided into competing camps, which once again is far easier to manage than a country united around, I don't know, Christianity. If citizens see themselves primarily as members of a racial, ethnic, or ideological tribe, they're less capable of organizing around issues that affect everyone. And this is to our politicians' advantage, not ours. So it's by design. The immigration debate follows this exact same pattern. Millions of Americans have expressed outrage about illegal immigration, border security, the impact mass immigration has on our wages, our jobs, our local communities turning into violent third world hellscapes. Yet year after year, Washington will give us excuses, or we'll maybe get some movement on it, but then Renee Good dies, and so we pull out of Minnesota. One of the reasons, powerful interests are still alive and well, and they benefit from the current status quo here in America. Big corporations benefit from large labor pools and lower labor costs. Politicians benefit from keeping the issue alive while avoiding the political consequences of actually solving it. So while ordinary Americans argue with one another about race and Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf and all of our grievances, the people with the most power continue accumulating more of it. Now, that's not to say that we shouldn't argue about it, because I think, what we're really dealing with here is a truth claim that needs to be defended. But you see the game. And we're going to talk about how society got here, and one of the reasons society got where it is right now is because Barack Obama. Do you remember when Barack Obama told public schools that they had to get their numbers of black kids who were being suspended down? They were too high. It was disproportionate to the amount of white kids that were being suspended, so the public schools were being racist. I think specifically with the Karmelo Anthony, murdering Austin Metcalf, I think you're seeing the fruits of that policy. We don't want our schools to discipline, so you just have to create two different standards for black kids that misbehave than white kids that misbehave. And people forget this. Barack Obama actually had that policy on public schools, that you can't suspend black kids anymore because the numbers are too high compared to white kids. That actually happened, if you'll remember back to the Obama years. So all of this matters. Belfast matters. It's not just about one city. It's really a warning about what happens when leaders ignore public concerns for years and then act surprised, as we'll see on the show today, when trust in government is obliterated and people start securing their homeland all by themselves. So a society can survive disagreements, but it can't survive indefinitely a ruling class that refuses to listen while the people beneath it suffer and suffer greatly. So today on the show, let's talk about the Karmelo Anthony verdict and the fires raging in Ireland. The Paul Harrell program starts right now.
The Paul Harrell program.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Man, it's been a great, 22 hours since I last saw you guys, so really do appreciate it. Rob Spencer, our co-host, is en route, so we do have Rob with us, and tomorrow we may have Rob and Eric back with us. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that they miss being here. But Rob will be rolling in, skating sideways, as he likes to say, very, very soon. And I'm really glad, because I want to get his take on Karmelo Anthony. I mean, it was a busy day yesterday. Right before we came on the air, we got news of his verdict, guilty, and then by the time, went to bed last night, okay, we get the sentence. He's sentenced to 35 years for murder. First-degree murder, he gets 35 years. And obviously, you've got to assume that the judge here is taking into account. You got to wonder, is he taking into account the volatility of the situation? Is he hoping this will somehow appease the mob? Well, he only gets 35 years, or, and he'll be out eligible for parole in 17 years, which is just totally unacceptable. I'll tell you what else is unacceptable about all of this. It's the fact that, this crime, this murder happened back in April, and here it is June. And I just think it's really frustrating to think how slow the justice system moves at this point. And obviously, I believe that Karmelo Anthony should not only have been found guilty of murder, I think the sentence should have been the death penalty. And years ago, that's exactly what would have happened in this country. And years ago, it wouldn't have taken over a year for the sentence to be carried out. For the investigation, the trial, the guilty verdict, and the sentence to be carried out. But now that's not the country we live in. And by the way, that's one of the reasons why I think our country is in the state that it's in. It's just like we skate around. We take as much time as we possibly can to skate around an issue to avoid a clear black and white truth that's pronounced. And it just basically means that there's always another chance. There's always another argument to be made, and it really is not good for the stability of our society. So that's really frustrating to me, just in and of itself. But then then we find out that he's only getting 35 years. He's likely going to be out in 17 years, which will make this guy somewhere in his 30s, in his mid 30s. He's going to have a full life, you would expect. I thought I was old when I was 30. Now I'm 40. I realize, you've got a lot of life left to live. And yet Austin Metcalf was denied his life. He was denied basically his entire life, And so this doesn't seem fair at all. And yet there are still people out there who are upset that he's been convicted. There are still people that think that somehow Karmelo Anthony is the victim. And I don't really know where you go from that. I don't know how you reconcile that. It just seems like we are a divided country, but it's, a lot of people like to say, we're a divided country, and they almost seem to want to use that statement as a reason to quit fighting or quit making your arguments, which is, of course, not what we need to do at all. One of the things that we could do to stop this nonsense is to get rid of these female judges that continue to put their racial preferences of how they want the world to be, trying to wish it by letting career criminals out on bail over and over and over again. Not just bail, just literally giving them no sentence at all. I mean, that'd be one of the ways we could do it. But I do want to say, let's actually get into what I talked about during my monologue about what Barack Obama did, because honestly, that's going to give us a lot. It dawned on me, it wasn't just me. This American Tribune over on X posted a highlight from an author by the name of Jeremy Carl. Jeremy Carl wrote a book called The Unprotected Class about anti-whiteism throughout our country. Jeremy Carl was actually nominated for a key position, I believe, inside the OMB, and he wasn't able to get confirmed because the Democrats did not like that he wrote a book highlighting that our society is riddled with policies and institutions that are anti-white and are actually racist themselves. And so Jeremy Carl did not get confirmed. He was able to work in the Trump administration the first time, not able to do it in the second term because he wrote this book in the 4 years that Joe Biden was president. But this is an excerpt from The Unprotected Class. Quote, the Obama administration went out of its way to emphasize the importance of disparate impact in school discipline because they effectively threatened schools' funding if students were disciplined at substantially different rates than their race's share of the population, ignoring the fact that some groups have objectively worse behavior in schools. White people and Asian people, students in particular, became victims of violence in schools at increasing rates. Just as in the adult world, not punishing students who engage in violent and even criminal behavior makes life more dangerous for everyone. This disparate impact disciplinary strategy was a classic example of real structural racism at work, but structural racism in the opposite direction from the way it presented in the media. As a side note, we arguably should not call this structural racism since institutions are not people, do not hold beliefs, and thus cannot be racist. But the term structural racism is so woven into the lexicon that it is difficult to discuss these issues without referring to it. Jeremy Carl further explains, attempts to reduce the number of suspensions of African Americans in particular and Hispanics who are suspended at far higher ratios than white students led to racially unjust policies because these suspensions are invariably a result of different disciplinary offense rates by race. Asian American students are suspended at even lower rates than whites, but also make up a much lower percentage of students, and thus, for this and other political reasons, tend to be less a part of the conversation around school discipline. Federal bureaucrats, however, are on a mission to make suspension numbers by race equal in the name of equity, though the behaviors of these groups are different. Thus, white students and disproportionately white teachers are put at substantial risk. Ultimately, the Obama administration pushed policies that disproportionately put white students and teachers at risk in order to hide facts about the disciplinary records of black and Hispanic students, because Democrats were uncomfortable with the underlying demographics of school misbehavior. These policies put pressure on schools to not discipline kids like Trayvon Martin and Nicholas Cruz, who would reasonably have been expected to have a criminal record had policies been enforced in a race-neutral fashion. They led to not just numerous traumatized students at schools who were the victims of predators, but in some tragic cases, to dead bodies. Again, that's an excerpt from The Unprotected Class, How Anti-White Racism Has Teared America Apart by Jeremy Carl. So my question here is, do these old policies where you can't discipline black students, did that contribute in some capacity to what we saw happen with Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf? And I think it certainly did. By the way, Rob Spencer is with us.
Glad to be with you guys as always. Sorry, I had a meeting with my son's school, but I think it's a couple of pronged. This has got several forks to it. Number one, you've got the media. Let's just be honest, because you are 50 times more likely as a white person to be assaulted by a black person than you are if you are a black person to be assaulted by a white person. Okay? Violent crime, you are 50 times more likely to be assaulted by a black person. And so somebody wants to talk about, then the over-policing of it. The police are going where the crimes are. But there have been multiple studies that have proven that police officers, when they're dealing with adults, are less likely to engage with these potential suspects here, these suspects or the potential criminals, engage with them in such a way because they're afraid that if they shoot a black person, even though it may be completely justified, they're afraid to get Michael Browned. You know, they're afraid that their career, their life, everything that they hold dear and near is going to be over because they chose to enforce the law against someone of color. Okay? So do you think that has not trickled down to the school setting? It 100% has. I was a school teacher more than a decade ago. I was a school teacher, and I had that in the back of my head. Like, I got to make sure that when my discipline happens in this high school class, and let's just be honest, I was disciplining high school boys all the time because they're wild and crazy. And I can say that because I have a high school son. I know they're wild and crazy, but I'm disciplining these guys, and I got to make sure that even though the white person, let's just say that there's a conflict between a white person and a black person, even though the white person didn't even do anything, didn't even start the issue, I'm like, you know what? And you could have handled this differently as well, right?
That's the temptation.
I caught myself trying to play both sides of the fence when it was totally this guy's fault over here. And so that mentality, led by the media, happening in the school district, and then even in continuing into adulthood with policing, all of that factors into black empowerment, that they don't have to follow the rules. The people protesting for Karmelo Anthony here, they're like, well, he shouldn't have had to leave. You're in the opposing team's tent. You're under the opposing team's tent. What are you talking about? Who cares that it's raining? Go stand under somebody else. You were told to leave. You should not be here. It's like walking into the opposing team's locker room. You can't do that. That's just not the way things are. And people are saying,
in that is actually a totally, because we keep saying, like, I keep trying to figure out what about this why do they think this is so justified? But it's being told to leave.
yeah, they can't stand that.
And if you go look at any of these meltdowns that happen at Waffle Houses or Burger Kings or Wendy's or whatever,
Yep.
when the manager tells an unruly black person to leave, that's when they get up on the counters. There's countless videos of it. It's being told to leave.
Yep.
Is a triggering thing for them.
You have
generally
they have this generational thing ingrained in them because of the media, because they weren't alive, that said, when I'm told to leave a restaurant, it harkens back to the black only and white only restaurants.
That's what it is. That's
right.
It is.
And so that's where their mind's at, and they're saying, and I worked for one of my bosses at one of my other companies. She was a black lady, and she met every single solitary stereotype of a black lady who was in position of power with a chip on her shoulder. She met every stereotype with that. And she told me flat out, she goes, "Rob, we're tired of complying. When they say, why don't you just give the police officer your driver's license when he pulled you over? Instead of arguing with the police officer." Why in Karmelo Anthony's situation here, you're under an opposing team's tent. You've been asked to leave. You've been asked to leave 15 times by many accounts. You're not leaving. So, but they say, I don't have to comply, because when I comply, that's giving in to the man. That's giving in to the white man. I can't do that. I can't do that because I won't have any respect for myself. And so but you're built up. You're so built up and ingrained with your blackness that you can't see anything outside of it. I'm going to tell you, there are tons of black Americans right now that have not gotten behind Karmelo Anthony because they know right and wrong. But then you got these people that are out there protesting. Not the family members. You expect that from the family members. But you got these people out there that are protesting that said he shouldn't have had to leave. He was just trying to get out of the rain. And he was being attacked by a mob of people, and he had to defend himself. He went in there with that possible scenario in his head, or he wouldn't have had that damn knife in his backpack, Paul. He went in there with that possibility in his mind, or he wouldn't have prepared for it. He went down there. Let's just give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's just trying to get out of the rain. You're just trying to get out of the rain because your team's tent is there. You brought a knife to a high school track meet. You've already started out on the wrong foot, and then you had your hand in there the whole time. I saw this video, and it's this two inbred country A white dudes, and they're standing out in front of a dumpster, and they're having an argument about, you put your trailer on my part, like backed your trailer on my stuff or whatever. And they're having this argument. He's like, you need to turn around and get on out of here, whatever. And it actually had a bad ending because this dude, one of the inbred white guys, is standing there, and he's got his gun in his hand. He decides that he's had enough, and he pulls that gun up and shoots that guy. And the guy goes, I can't believe you shot me. That's ridiculous. I can't believe you shot me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, said that. Whatever. And then he leaves, the guy that did the shooting. The guy that got shot died. So I want to go through things in my mind and say, how many opportunities did that individual have to just walk away? They say live to fight another day. What are you going to do, Karmelo Anthony? Are you going to take on this entire track team that's standing in front of you? You're going to take on you're standing under their team's tent. What are you going to do? You're going to take them all on? No. You came there with an intention. You had that in your backpack. And I'm going to say this. I'm so sick and tired of people, just because you're black, you just agree with whatever the black person does. You're effing stupid. I want to say stronger words, won't do it.
Well, you know,
But you're
even with
so-
the even Dave Chappelle, you know, back in the day when he was like, yeah, none of the black community at large thought Jussie Smollett.
Oh, yeah.
they believed
He's
Jussie
joking about it.
Smollett. They didn't think that was, you know. But yeah, to
Yeah.
your point, out here at the courthouse, I mean, look at these. These are Black Panthers now that have descended here. You mentioned a stereotypical black woman a moment ago.
Oh, God.
Here
we go.
This is suddenly a new contender arrives. Let's turn this on.
We gotta tell them the truth. Who don't get stop that cool ass shit? Don't nobody want to hear about what we do to each other. We talking about what they doing to us. White
hear that
folks
crap?
kill white folks. Mexicans kill Mexicans. We ain't trying to hear no cool shit today. Go over there with them white folks with that. This is a racist ass country. We're in a racist ass state. This is a racist ass court. Ain't nothing else to talk about. When has a white boy been before an all black jury? Tell us, media. Tell us, white folks. When has a white boy been before an all black jury? Never.
How's it murdered?
This is
And
racist.
he
You know why?
asked,
You know
is he
why?
okay?
Because you know what? Whatever the verdict is, he got justice. Because he got to go before a jury of 6 or 12 instead of being buried by 6.
So that actually is, you know, doing the whole better to be carried, you know, be convicted by 12 and carried by 6. They literally think that Carmelo Anthony's life was in danger. It's just like
Okay.
I don't know what you do with that. By the way, Eric Haynes texts in and says, "LOL, Felicia."
Eric knows exactly who I was talking about. He's talking about the black boss I used to work for. He knows exactly, and I don't care if she watches this. 'Cause she's a crazy ass.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he was calling this
No.
lady.
You know what?
Lady Felicia.
You know what? If you want to know what I'm talking about, when this lady I work for who had every stereotypical blackness about her, it's this woman. I got two things. I got two things to say. Number one, I felt dumber.
I'm sorry. I thought it was by Felicia. I
No,
thought that's what we were talking about.
No, it just happened to be that
Forgive me.
this crazy woman's name is Felicia.
Okay.
Number one, I feel dumber having watched that rant. Okay? I feel dumber having watched that rant. Number two, I'm going to have a third point. I said 2 points. I'm going to have a third point. Number two, this lady needs to seriously look into a breast reduction. Okay? That cannot be good for her back. And I've become more and more increasingly concerned about my back as I've gotten older. And I have concerns about her health. Okay. And then the third point here is that when it is one of the most extreme examples of low IQ, if your existence, if your value, if all of your worth is found in the color of your skin, and that goes for all of you. So if you're a white supremacist and your existence and your value and your worth is found in the color of your skin, you are extremely low IQ, okay? But this is the example on the other side of an extremely low IQ person whose only thing is whatever the black man does, whatever the black woman does, I agree with. And you look at what she said. She started it off. We don't want to hear about black on black crime. No, you don't want to have that conversation, do you? You don't want to have that conversation because you're at 13% of the population, and remarkably, you stay at 13% of the population. How is that possible? Because you're killing each other.
Well, and to the point, to this, Brianna Morello says it's important to keep reminding people that this was actually not an all-white jury. 5 people on the jury were minorities. The black population of Collin County is only 12%. Those black potential jurors were unable to set aside their partisanship and were rejected. You talked about that.
Yeah, he said, I can't send another brother to jail. Well, you think you're going to get on a jury?
Yeah, exactly. But again, we're having an intellectual conversation with people that don't want to have it. But it's not lost on me that if you want to be a larger percentage of the population, you should probably quit aborting your babies at, 5 times the higher rate of white people and other demographics.
40% of all abortions go to black women when they make up 13% of the population. Make it make sense, folks.
Yeah.
And it goes from the founder of Planned Parenthood, who was
Margaret Sanger,
who was one of the most racist people.
She was a eugenicist.
Dude, she wanted to eliminate the black race.
Specifically, she wanted to eliminate black people.
And however many years after her death, we're still seeing.
Yeah, she got what she wanted.
Yeah,
I mean,
good grief, we're seeing it. She's rejoicing in her grave to the plan that she had of the black people who continue to commit abortions. And what do we see? Ben Shapiro, his rise to fame happened when he said, tell me how since the Civil Rights Act that happened 1956, but really it kicked in the 60s. Tell me how since then the black population has completely declined. They've gotten poorer. The fatherless homes have increased from 22% to 75%. They make up 50% of all violent crimes. It is a culture thing. And I'll tell you this, I worked, and this is the person from the Paul Harrell program who is the one who gets mad and yells all the time. I can say this. The black lady boss that I used to work for, I won't say her name again in case somebody didn't mention it, she told me, she goes, Rob, it's a cultural thing. Whoever can fight the best and yell the loudest is the one who's correct. And I thought, oh my gosh, that explains every Burger King crash out video I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Whoever yells the loudest and gets the most angry, and who can fight the best, that is who wins the argument in the black culture. And I just don't think that is commensurate with a productive, healthy society.
No, it's not. And you're using words like commensurate, which is going to be difficult, I would imagine, for some people to understand.
Okay. Well,
You
I
see
don't
what
think
I'm
it's.
saying?
Let me just
The
go. Let me
gap-
go. This.
Even us explaining.
I don't
this,
think it flows.
Yeah.
I don't think it flows with a.
we can't play that. We can't play that
Yeah.
in this country.
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah.
So I'm just so sick. I'm so sick of people who are so just their whole existence is the color of their skin, and if you and every lens that they look at is through that racial lens. And it was the best evidence of it, Paul, was when a reporter asked a lady who was protesting Carmelo Anthony and said, hey, let me ask you this. If the roles were reversed, right, and Austin Metcalf was a black guy who goes up and pushes a white boy out of his tent and says, hey, you need to get out of here, and he won't go, and the white boy stabbed, okay, exact same scenario. Nothing changes other than the races. And she goes, I'm always going to defend our black brothers.
Yep.
Full stop, Paul.
Yeah,
stop.
They see it as us versus them. They don't really have a concept of like any what the nation, the rule of law being what makes the country
right
good or acceptable. The idea that I can leave my house and I have a reasonable chance of returning to my house and my stuff's still going to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why is that the case? Well, because we have laws and we have that's totally divorced from that. They don't even think about that. And that's kind of brings me back to this. Yeah, this is a funny meme. Foot Locker employees after Karmelo Anthony found guilty. I think the law enforcement have done a pretty good job of clearing the parking lot, from what I can tell.
Because like I said, this was not a George Floyd scenario
Right.
there where this guy's like, I can't breathe, and there's this clip of the video he's alive. Karmelo Anthony's alive. Yeah, and so I did like the prosecutor crossing. So it's interesting. Excuse me. This is Texas, correct? It was
Yes.
McKinney, Texas. It's interesting because they've got a separate phase, but there's also this like, it's not just the judge handing down the sentence. the jury hands down
Okay.
this sentence.
Okay.
And
Well, I correct myself from earlier. I said something about the judge.
and they hear from they get to hear from all sides. So there gets to be witness statements as well. But Karmelo Anthony's mother got to go on the stand, and she said, by the way, she just got a nose job. Did you know that?
That's $600,000 they raised.
Yeah, $600,000. Maybe got their son a better attorney.
They did not.
They did not. No, they what did they do? Never had any money before,
the defense put a witness on the stand that was beneficial to the prosecution.
Yeah.
I mean,
so let's just be honest. Dave Chappelle's skit about reparations just really holds true with people who have never had money, and regardless of race, if you've never had money and all of a sudden you find yourself just injected with this, this bit of cash. He's got, they got $600,000, and all of a sudden now they got cars, they got houses, and all that stuff, and you're just like, you know what, Karmelo, we love you. You're gonna be just fine. We're gonna get you the best public defender that no money can buy.
How much of that money will be there when he gets out of jail?
None of it. It's gone,
17
Paul.
Years?
Every bit of that money's gone. Every bit of that money is gone. And so anyway, Karmelo Anthony's mother gets on and I get it, man. Like, as a parent, your kid makes a decision. I'm not trying to rip on her. I rip on the culture. Yeah. I rip on that black. I'm going to say this. I rip on the black culture that is yell the loudest, don't comply, all of that stuff. Like, and there are so many black people that completely agree with me because my algorithm shows me all of these videos. Like, what are you talking about? They're like reacting to a police encounter video. Yep. What do you mean? How in the world? But anyway, she's on the stand. Please have mercy on my son. This is after the guilty verdict. Please have mercy on my son. Prosecutor asked a question. Isn't it true that you can still have a relationship with your son in prison? She had to admit that yes. But what did the jury just hear? Austin Metcalf's parents can't have a relationship with anymore.
Yeah.
Because he's no longer on this earth.
Yeah.
And it was a great question because it wasn't seen as like taking a sledgehammer to this mom about her parenting, but it was, you can still talk to your son. Your son is sitting over here breathing. The parents who lost their child, their son is gone and he's not coming back. And there's a huge difference there. Your son should pay the piper. And I was listening to you as I was driving there. 35 years, in my opinion, is a joke.
Total joke.
I think it's a joke. I think that they looked at it through the lens of he was 17, 18 years old at the time of the murder, and they wanted to try to give him some sort of life. I can only hope that the parole board in 17 years will look at this case and say, yeah, dude, you murdered somebody because you didn't want to get your hair wet. Let's be honest. You didn't want to get out. You didn't want to get out in the rain. You didn't like some white people telling you to get out of their team tent, and you murdered somebody. I don't think you get out in the minimum.
You would think.
I hope.
It just depends on what happens with Texas. Depends on the political environment. 17 years from now, we'll see what's. I will correct this because our comments are telling us this.
He applied to have a public defender. It was disapproved. Or what's the word? Not approved because of the give, send, go where he got $650,000. And so but that money was long gone. So they got a pro bono attorney. But every account, I saw so many legal things here that just said that every account, the attorney for Karmelo Anthony just completely fudged the case.
Yeah. Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
This is a terrible job.
If you pay for I know Johnny Cochran's long dead, but pay for the Johnny Cochran law firm.
Yeah.
If the glove don't fit, you must quit.
What does it say?
He might have had a better chance.
What does it say though about? I mean, to me, we open with this Jeremy Carl piece. This right here, the unprotected class. You see on your screen there. But what does it say? I mean, I think this sentence shows that I mean, it just confirms, what Jeremy Carl wrote in his book, how anti-white racism is tearing America apart. To your question about role reversals, I mean, do you think a white kid's getting 35 years out in 17 or eligible out in 17? If this no, there is no way that happens. So it's totally outrageous, and it shows that we're not a serious country.
Yeah.
Matt Walsh with some sarcasm here. He says, this is so devastating. Imagine being a black parent tonight. How do you protect your children? If they go out and stab just one person, they might go to prison.
Yeah.
It's like a black man in America can't even murder anyone anymore. Unimaginable. Jim Crow all over again. I'm furious.
Yeah, there was a stupid-ass lady that was interviewed, and she goes, they said, what are your thoughts on it? She's like, what do I tell my sons?
I saw that. We covered that yesterday.
Yeah. What do I tell my sons? How about don't stab people?
Yep.
Don't talk crazy now.
More from Walsh. Consider all the blatant lies that activists tell about cases we've all lived through. Cases where there's video and forensic evidence disproving their claims. Think about how the false narrative spread anyway and eventually become mainstream orthodoxy. Think hands up, don't shoot.
Yes.
Now go back and consider every supposed racist atrocity from decades or centuries ago. Every innocent minority wrongfully persecuted by racist whites. I'm not saying that all of those stories aren't true. I'm saying that you can't assume that they're true. If they can lie about the stuff we all witnessed with our own eyes, imagine what they can do with the things none of us witnessed.
Yeah.
Wow, that's something to think about. And then you're going to get this. You're going to love this one. Jasmine Crockett.
Oh, so, look at this.
Jasmine Crockett is on a podcast.
Fake hood rat.
And she is trying to excuse the stabbing because she says the knife really wasn't a deadly weapon, even though the knife killed somebody. But the knife wasn't a deadly weapon because it was small.
Was it a switch? I don't know what he had.
It was like it seemed like it was a multi-tool, almost like a Swiss Army.
Like with like with the little scissors and everything and whatever. So it was small. Well, I would argue the size of it alone, you wouldn't even think it's a deadly weapon.
And that's forgot he had the bag.
If it was one of the little, like I don't know, like I do think.
Well, that's why he went to his coach and was like, but I don't think I heard him that bad.
Was it a switch?
I want to. The level of stupidity that comes out of this woman's mouth, I don't think can be calculated. It's just, we're talking about one of the dumbest, quote, smart people due to her education. We're talking about an educated dumbass, okay? There's no other, she is so full of her ridiculous blackness. I can't even understand. Like, I can't. I love the fact that this woman will no longer be in Congress, but do you think she's going to go away?
No, she's not going away.
She's got way too big of a name. Now, there was a Cori Bush who was the dumbest member of Congress, and she's been out now for 2 terms, but she was representing St. Louis for Missouri. She was and she was the one that wanted reparations. Yep. She wanted to eliminate police officers. I mean, you're just talking about a complete, total moron. And she lost. She got primaried and came in 3rd place. That's how stupid she was. Even the liberals in St. Louis were like, this bee's crazy here, you know. But anyway, Jasmine Crockett comes in. She's a Rhodes Scholar, which, you know, now we look at it through, you know, DEI and, you know, affirmative action. Was she a Rhodes Scholar or was she, you know, I don't know. But I can tell you this woman is completely, she's educated, but she's a complete moron. Mm-hmm. And for every time she talks, she's going to be on a podcast. She's going to get a MS Now show. She's going to get something because her name is too big. And that's just unfortunate because we're going to elevate the absolute retarded people of the world.
See, you sent me. Okay, well, let's just cover this real quick.
Okay.
So I'm not going to play this video because it's just a guy reading the quote that I'm about to read. Austin Metcalf's father delivered a very powerful message straight to his son's murderer. You can't look me in the eyes, but you can stab my effing son. You're going to prison. I forgave you the day it happened. I don't forgive what you did. This was never about race. It was about right and wrong. My son's death destroyed the person I used to be. He does not exist anymore. That's Jeff Metcalf's statement that he read to Karmelo Anthony.
Can you imagine?
Who could not look.
I think it's all of our anybody who's watching right now who is a parent. Let's just be honest. Your worst nightmare is burying your child.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's no other nightmare
100%
that is as strong as that. And so, you want to, if anybody wants to criticize his, statement about it, I think you need to look at it through the lens of, but so many people that would criticize it have children that they don't feel that way about, or like I was saying earlier, they're so ingrained with their blackness that, you know what? You should have told your son to leave people alone. What we're seeing is the worst of the race wars, and we're seeing the media just kind of usher it all in. And I love this girl. So Idaho mom. Idaho MAGA mom. She is a great follow on social medias. Just gonna.
So, is the guy in this video that she's making fun of that we're about to watch? Is he real? Because to me, it seemed like a parody of a crazy leftist.
He's
It reminded me of Will in the. I mean, literally, he almost even looks like left-wing Will. The card game that I wrote. He reminds me of a real-life version of Will, which was a stereotypical leftist.
So she stitches a lot of videos. If you want to follow her on social medias, she stitches a lot of videos, and she just let's just let this be, because you'll see how good she is.
People.
The young man was found guilty.
Yep.
I feel as though a knife has been driven right through my heart.
There was a real knife driven through the heart of Austin Metcalf.
And I don't know how I'm going to make it through the day, the week, the month, the rest of this year.
Prozac, a safe space, a padded room, some new crayons, a puppy. I don't know, you'll figure it out. You know who didn't get to make it into this year? Austin Metcalf.
I thought that we were past this.
Past what? I thought we were past this white privilege crap.
I don't know what to do.
Lay off the estrogen and propaganda would be a start.
I think all we could do now is take it to the streets and protect our brothers and sisters.
Yeah, by locking up murderers. Next.
I mean,
and sisters.
I can't believe that this guy is real. Like I can't believe that is not. I mean, yeah, it's a funny video. She makes great points. Ridiculing this guy, but it just is interesting that he's not pretending that this is an actual leftist who is heartbroken about the conviction of Karmelo.
He 100% is, and these people exist, Paul. I promise you they exist, because I've encountered them. I met almost a clone of this guy, and he's walking around with a perpetual tear in his eye for the state of the world. They hate America. They hate all of the. I thought we were past this. Like, dude, you need two things. Number one, you need some testosterone, okay? And number two, let's just be honest, you need some serious mental health.
Yeah.
Because this guy. Yep. This guy's, no more than a couple of tragedies away from offing himself just to try to improve the world. I just thought I would just off myself.
What is that in the background? I'm just looking at the background. What is that? What is that hand?
Is that some sort of sexual toy? Paul, that's what you were thinking.
Yeah.
You just wanted to let it simmer. You didn't want anybody to say it.
No. I think that's a sex. I mean,
is that for fisting? Is that what they call it?
No, but that it. Oh my! What is? Oh my goodness! These people are crazy.
Yeah. Well, they exist. They exist.
Sorry. That guy, man.
Sorry. Let me ask you this. Let me ask any person, anybody watching this, do liberal soy latte men add any value to society? You know, because you can say, oh, well, they're great IT professionals, you know. They're great at making my latte at Starbucks, you know. You can say all of these things, but I'm talking about when you're talking about adding value to society, when the chips are down and Russia's invading the United States or whatever, you going to turn to one of these beta males? No, you're not. You're never going to turn to these people because, and we've seen videos where this guy is with his wife and they get attacked and he runs away faster than his wife does and lets his wife take the brunt of it. Versus me or you, that's literally like the only way you're getting to my wife is if I'm dead.
Yeah, I'm going to have to be dead.
Yeah, that's the only way that it happens. I talk to my teenage son all the time. I said, son, I can forgive anything. I cannot forgive if you, like if we're not here and your sisters are here, if somebody comes into this house and attacks your sister and I come home and you're not dead, I'm not going to be able to forgive you. And now I'm not being literal with that.
I know what you mean.
But the point is you better die before you allow them to get to your sisters. That's our job as men. That man with his soy latte, depression, anxiety, going to his therapist twice a week, you add zero value to the United States, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right, we're going to reset here and take a break, but we're going to continue with this discussion. I'm glad it worked out the way it did. First half of the show today is about what happened with Karmelo Anthony and the verdict with the murder of Austin Metcalf. And now the second half of the show is going to be about what happens and what is happening in Belfast and what happens when you push a country too far, when you push a people group too far. In this specific instance, we're talking about the Irish, who happen to be white. What's going on in Belfast is the result of the political class essentially running a proxy war against their own people via the immigration policy, you know, and the Muslim in the gangs and everything else. And it's gotten to a boiling point. And if you won't secure your own homeland, if the government won't do it, the people of Belfast are saying, we're going to do it. And they are now resorting to violence.
Yeah, so they're over it.
Let's talk about that when we come back. What do you guys think about it? I'll be interested. It'll be interesting. We're going to have a great conversation about that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. This is the Paul Harrell Program. Back in a moment.
For centuries, light has been used to heal. Awaken the body with Red Vive.
Why is Red Vive different? What sets it apart? What sets us apart from the standard red light panels? This is a medical grade device, and what that means is the red light bulbs and the near infrared bulbs have very specific wavelengths. If you think about the wavelength as the medicine, the 635, the 670, the 810, the 850, those were specifically chosen because those are the most powerful effectors of the cells. So those specific wavelengths, when they get into our body, when they affect our tissue, they spike energy production, they help with nerve pain control, they increase stem cell counts. There's very specific mechanisms that those specific wavelengths work at, and that's the medicine. So if you think of, say, medicine as an Advil or a specific steroid or a blood pressure medication, the wavelength is the medication. The other part of that, whenever you take a medication, is dose. Right? So you have the medication. So if you take 1 milligram of Advil, and the average dose of an Advil is 200 milligrams to 800 milligrams, it's not going to work. That doesn't mean the medicine's bad. It just means you didn't take enough. Right? And so even if you have the right wavelengths, first you have to have the right medicine, and then you have to have the right dose. And to have the right dose, you have, in light therapy, you have to have enough energy. So you have to have a powerful bulb. The LED bulbs, or light-emitting diodes, have a specific wavelength, and that wavelength is the medicine. And the wavelengths that have been studied and published on that are the most powerful in affecting healing and the changes that we want to see with our bodies and our health are the 635 wavelength, the 670, 810 nanometer wavelength, and 850 nanometer wavelength. Those are all going to affect the mitochondria, the cytochrome C oxidase, and affect those powerful long-term changes and affect that downstream pathways. And that's what you get with Red Vive devices. The highest efficacy, the best wavelengths, concentrated to help your health.
Behind every precious life, there was a choice. Behind every family moment, behind every special memory, there was a choice. A life of joy. A life that is beautifully and wonderfully made. At 7 Weeks Coffee, we are funding the pro-life movement, one cup at a time. Will you let your coffee serve a greater purpose?
The Paul Harrell Program.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Broadcasting live from the state of Arkansas here on LFA TV. You want to make sure that you subscribe to LFA TV over on Rumble, and if you're watching on the Paul Harrell Program YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe. Click the little bell to receive notifications. We very much appreciate it. Northern Ireland has had enough. City of Belfast has had enough. Some people are saying that Belfast right now may be the most safe city in the world. I don't know if that's true, but it's certainly got to be one of the safest cities in all of Europe right now. Well, safe from a particular form of terrorism or immigration violence, where you had this Sudanese guy who tried to behead an Irishman. The guy's name is Stephen Ogilvy, or Ogilvy, maybe that's how you pronounce it. This is what he looked like. This is from the Gateway Pundit. Headline: Northern Ireland Belfast victim remains in serious condition with horrific facial wounds as details emerge about deranged Sudanese attacker. Obviously, this happened on the heels of what happened to Henry Nowak when he was accused of racism, when in fact he was actually stabbed by an immigrant. So, and I believe the Sudanese attacker is actually an illegal. The conservative treehouse has a couple of headlines here. Headline: The Irish, Scots, and English are at the end of the first follower phase in cultural survival. The article says, when the systems of law and order, society find no intention, benefit, or reasonable expectation of safety from their established construct of government, generally driven by an intentional willingness to ignore the demands of the citizens those officials are expected to represent, eventually people take matters into their own hands. It is fair to call this the end of the first follower phase. It began when a singular voice stood boldly in righteous opposition to the violence. This person was watched by many. Then, when that person, the original opponent to the violence, is met with brutal isolation and retaliation, a first follower surfaces. The first follower is the individual who stands up in anger against the retaliation they have witnessed against the singular voice. This is the key moment when you can guarantee something is about to change. The crowd watches the first follower. Only at this very consequential inflection point, having watched the previous retaliation, the crowd are now invested emotionally in the outcome of what happens to the first follower. It's just an interesting process that they're describing here. Then we have this other one. Irish police request people not protest their beheading by migrants too strongly. Following the very public display of horrific violence, the Irish police are asking citizens not to protest against the beheading too strongly. The last time migrant violence was highlighted, many people in Ireland were upset. The police request follows a Sudanese migrant who was given asylum and then attacked a man on the street with a knife, slicing his face, neck, and back, gouging his eyes, and then attempting to use the kitchen knife to saw off the victim's head. Following video of the attack becoming viral, the police are concerned that too many Irish people will protest against their beheading, and that could be disrupting to the sensitivity of unlawful migrants who may not support taking off the heads of Irish people. You remember the old Norm Macdonald joke where he talks about, you know what scares me the most? And he says, it really scares me the most that of the Muslims, detonating a nuclear weapon in America. Can you imagine, the Islamophobia that would come after something like that?
Norm.
Can you imagine? That's terrifying. That's terrifying. The Islamophobia that would result in a. I mean, it's absolutely insane, and yet here is what's going on. So this is the real. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie V for Vendetta. Real V for Vendetta vibes, like the end of V for Vendetta seems to be what's going on. People dressing in all black, covering their face. Presumably, they're leaving their cell phones at home. So they
can't be tracked.
You would think so. I mean, you would think that that's what's going on.
Well, I think this proves a lot. But let's start with the obvious. You can only push people so far. You really can before they snap, and they've just had it. We're seeing that in other places in Europe as well, where there was the million person march in the UK because they're just over this. They're over. Why are we importing the third world who thinks that we're white devils? And I want to ask that same question for all these white European nations and all of us here in the United States. Why are you importing the third world who thinks you're white devils? There are people who are coming from Central America who their biggest dream is to be an American, and they want to assimilate to life in America. I have a much softer spot in my heart for those individuals than I do for somebody who wants to come here and set up their own city, set up their own government. They want to elect their own people. They want to have 5 times a day to pray to Mecca and all of this stuff. And when it's all based in an ideology that says murder the infidels.
Yeah, and at this point, I don't even really care about. I am not willing to consider the immigrant somewhere who wants to assimilate anymore. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I think the problem is so bad across first world countries being invaded by third world that it's like, okay, I mean, because that whole concept has been so abused, and you try to use the issue to pull on emotional heartstrings. It's none of it. None of it's okay now. And it can't be, because you can't trust the leaders to actually effectuate that policy in a way that's not going to harm native citizens.
We need a reset.
Total reset. Total immigration moratorium at this point, and until we figure out what's going on. Specifically, though, like I really wanted to explore the breaking point. I've seen some people say out there. How the people, Israel has a right to defend itself. Now people are saying Ireland has a right to defend, and I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with that statement. Does Ireland have a right to defend itself? And at what point is a revolution the only way to, because we're going to get to what the politicians are saying here in a minute. Dissonant media says, here's the truth. Violence is the only answer any government respects. Every single solution without bloodshed will be subverted. Now, I know this is this is tough language and makes people very uncomfortable. But if your sons and daughters are being raped and murdered, and the government then goes after you for posting about it online, at what point, again, what I said in the first hour, we have a society, because I can leave my home and have a reasonable expectation that when I come home, my stuff is still going to be there. And when you don't have that, what do you expect people to do? And at what point is it just? And I'll tell you this, the scenes of people going to what are reportedly immigrant housing, government funded, government subsidized immigrant housing, and they're burning the homes. They're just setting fire to the homes. And obviously there's a lot of liberal women that don't have the stomach for any, don't have the stomach for that at all. But I think to myself, I certainly, even I'm like, well, did they make sure that there were no kids in the house before they started the fire? Like, this is where I start going down that checklist. But at the same time, I'm thinking, you get to the point where you say, our own government hates the people that were born here, and they're favoring these others, and they won't deport them. So we'll just take the matters into our own hands, and we're going to eliminate the places that they have to stay with the hope that they'll self-deport and they'll leave. This is a logical, you may not like the tactics, you may not, but it's a very logical step to take when the government has essentially destroyed the people.
It's essentially like a landlord who cannot get a tenant out, and they can't do it legally because the government is failing them. So what do? They make the life of that tenant as miserable as possible. They go and pull the plug on their air conditioning unit there on the outside. There's a thing you can pull where it doesn't work, and they have to get it replaced. You can do a lot of stuff to try to really make it miserable for that tenant to live there. You can get away with a lot of that, a lot more of that in a red state than you can in a blue state. Blue states are letting property owners just go completely bankrupt. I don't want to digress, but it's the same mentality of once your government has failed you and your government is destroying your life, putting your safety, your financial, safety, all of that in risk. When a cat is backed into a corner, you're going to kind of see what's going to happen here. And
but listen to the last sentence. He says people have a choice to respond and possibly die quickly, meaning in the outrage, in the violence, in the burning, but bravely, or do nothing and be guaranteed to die slowly. I have thought about this equation. Wow. I have thought about this equation for a long time, because I do think about, in terms of tyranny, I do think in terms of what happens when, if the Democrats get back in power and the intelligence oligarchy is re-weaponized against us like we've never thought before, and what they're going to do to Christians, and I think, at some point, you could get to that place where it's like, well, we either do this, risk our lives now where we die quickly, or basically entire generations are going to. And by the way, the fact that they gave up their guns is a huge problem. I was going through this exercise with you guys. I mean, here in Arkansas, if you had some immigrant trying to saw the head off of a guy in an average Arkansas downtown, guess what would happen immediately? Because everybody carries guns here. Oh, yeah. This guy would have been unalived immediately.
It would be the shortest insurrection,
exactly. And the fact that average Irish, the Irish, the British, they don't have their own guns, they don't have the right to protect themselves, is a huge problem here. And it's a lesson for us. They would not be allowed to, the immigration, it would. What's going on now, the status quo over there, would not have been allowed to happen had they not first been disarmed. Period. End of sentence.
So I think it's also noteworthy that this is in Belfast, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Belfast, as we know, so I sent you and Eric a video that explained Ireland and how it was distributed, because I didn't understand all that stuff. So you got Northern Ireland, and then you've got the Republic of Ireland. The Republic of Ireland is, by all intents and purposes, the real Ireland, although some of the more popular places are in Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is part of the UK, which this madness, and that's where Belfast is, this madness is happening in the UK. And I don't know at what point And Paul, I just truly believe that we're no more than a few months, maybe at the most a few years away from people just assassinating political leaders. In the UK, I think that they're going to get the only thing saving some of these political leaders, in my opinion, is that they don't have guns, because I think if they do,
yeah, I mean, to your point, a lot of the comments were like, "What about the politicians' houses?" I mean, this is multiple houses that host migrants are being set on fire.
It.
Protesters break into HMOs housings, but like, what about what happens when you start going after the actual politicians?
Giving a rapist 6 months in prison, and then somebody going online and talking about how bad it is that we're allowing all of these people to come in and rape the country, rape the women of our country. You can go online and say that and get 2 years in prison. That's an actual case that happened. She went online and complained that we continued to allow all of this rapist culture and they let them off because they say in their religion, rape is not that bad. It's not a big deal. And so I can understand respecting a religion. Not everybody in the United States is a Christian. Although their life would be, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I'll say this: going online and saying that this third world is coming and they're bringing this culture is factual. You can go online and say that and get a harsher sentence than someone who pinned a woman down and forcefully penetrated her against her will. You cannot tell me that's not an upside down world. And that right there is a ticking time bomb. We're seeing it in Belfast, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen in London. It's going to happen all over the United Kingdom. I guarantee you, where there's going to be an uprising, a mutiny if you were at sea, that's what's going to happen. And we're seeing sort of, in my opinion, the first phases.
Here's an AI version of what Britain is like today.
Are you all right, sir?
Yes. It's not my blood. It's the blood of a racist who insulted me.
Phew. I was scared. I thought something bad had happened. Have a good day, sir.
Is that not true?
You're under arrest for daring to criticize immigration on internet.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know that that's AI. I feel like that's a real video.
That's a real video. Oh, thank you, sir. I thought something bad had happened.
I was worried for you. Well, he said something racist, so I killed him. That's the world. That's the world that we're living in at this point. And let's just go. Let's just go with it. It's going to be the white people that have to revolt.
Well, that's what Western European people are.
Yeah. So what are we saying?
Told that they can't have that them being a majority white country is bad. They can't have that. Because why?
Yeah. What do you think would happen if a bunch of white people infiltrated their country and tried to set up white Christianity?
It would never
happen.
What
do you think would happen?
It would never be allowed to happen.
But when they do it to us, oh, you're racist.
Yep.
You can't. Oh, my gosh. And it's white liberals that enable it. Every damn one of them, white liberals.
So our friend Andrew Paquette retweeted this, and I don't know who this guy is. He says he's Japanese. He says, as a Japanese, I can't wrap my head around what's happening in the UK. Hundreds of thousands of young girls raped by grooming gangs. Fathers who reported it got arrested. Citizens told to stay quiet. If this happened here in Japan, it would already be civil war. Why isn't the British military staging a coup? What are they even doing? This makes absolutely no sense to us. Can any British person explain this madness? Now, there is talk online, Rob, about how a British submarine commander right now, that's in the area, has a lot of autonomy. Meaning for this to actually for there to actually be some sort of civil war or some sort of coup, it would really only take one commander of a sub that has access to the weapons that are on that sub to essentially say, you're going to stop. We're going, and people are now starting to say, outraged Irishmen are now saying, we asked for deportations, and now we don't want deportations. We just want blood. I mean, that's where this is heading.
It's a tipping point,
and this is not.
tipped.
And everybody's trying to say that it's an overreaction because it makes polite society uncomfortable. It's the same people that tried to basically tried. I'm going to say this. I believe they tried to frame Aaron Spencer here in Arkansas.
Oh yeah.
And they hid the dash cam footage that cleared him because polite society is so uncomfortable that a father who's now going to be the next sheriff of Lonoc County in Arkansas went Wild West and took matters into his own hands and killed his daughter's rapist, molester.
And the police couldn't handle that. They can't handle. You took things into your own hands,
right? And
you solved this.
And yet, that's exactly every normal person says he did exactly what should have been done. He just took out the trash.
It would have been the quickest, in my opinion, the quickest deliberation ever heard by a jury. Especially when they got the biased judge off of that case.
Yeah.
Because then that the jury would have heard the actual evidence, which the prosecution looked at it and said, yeah, we're wasting a lot of time and taxpayer dollars here, and I don't want to have a loss on my record, so we're going to drop this case. And we're going to blame it on that loss SD card from the thing. But we should have never – we didn't have – even with that, we didn't have a case.
Yeah, you're probably right. So Conor McGregor, the UFC champion,
who is I'm finding out incredibly unpopular with many of the chirping people online in Ireland. And you think, well, why wouldn't I would feel like he would be more popular?
Okay, so you mean the people that are wanting this to happen?
The liberal loudmouths.
Yeah.
But you think because he's in sports and all of this stuff with the boxing and UFC that he would be more popular.
So Conor McGregor says close the borders, enter IPAS centers militarily, and remove all illegal entrants from this island. Inviting and financing mentally deranged people from the third world is a hard no. Get them out. Stop them coming. We say no to this. To where Tommy Robinson down in the UK, lead your people, Conor. It's the only way. Interesting things that are happening right now.
Conor speaks for all those gentlemen who were dressed in black walking the streets.
Well, they're now setting up checkpoints, according to some. And I know the police are going to push back, but according to some videos, they're now setting up immigrant checkpoints on the roads. They're putting up their own roadblocks.
Yeah. Well, and I think that the police officers are going to have, when stuff is getting out of hand, Paul, there's always a decision that's made by the police and law enforcement. Do we tamp this down now, or do we just let it be what it's going to be, and then we deal with the aftermath? Okay. And sometimes they make those decisions. If the crowd is just getting too crazy,
right?
Whoa, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here for our officer safety. And I think that the strength is in numbers on this. And I think if these individuals just keep up with this, they're going to make life so uncomfortable for these law-breaking immigrants who have brought their, ridiculous ideology into this country and are literally systematically destroying it. I think that many of them are going to get uncomfortable and move.
This may be a recurring thing. Wall Street Mav says if the police and politicians won't deport the third world, the Europeans will have to burn down their migrant housing until they leave. Again, this is I played this clip yesterday on the show of this liberal woman not liking this argument this British man makes when he says, well, what would solve the housing crisis is, banning immigration here. And she's like, you think that? She's like, well, yeah, because, migrants need homes. And so if there's less migrants here, there's more homes available, and that would solve the housing crisis. And she just got, so upset at that and tried to claim that it was, a stupid comment when it's the most logical thing. It's a very logical thing to say. And we're seeing people now say, well, we're going to just shrink the number of homes that are specifically for migrants. And again, I know it hurts the sensibilities of our civilized society, but you have to understand they're not civilized. This is what you get when you allow your society to become uncivilized. You're going to get war, and it's going to be and it'll be swift. Once people are pushed to the people. I have this clip. I have this comment here about violence. Let me see if I can find it. Because
I want to say, just to your point about uncivilized here, my friend was stationed in Turkey, and they wiped their ass with their hand. Okay, toilet paper is a luxury, and they literally wipe feces off of their ass with their hand, which is why it's considered an insult in Turkey to put your right hand out to shake hands. We shake hands here in America. And I want to sit here and say, okay, you want to sit and you want to tell me that you are civilized when the majority of the civilized world, and I'm not talking about third world people living in villages. I'm talking about people who live in a city in Turkey, Darmstadt, Turkey. I'm not saying it correctly, but that's the Arkansas pronunciation of that. Okay, Darmstadt, Turkey, whatever it's called. A city, buildings, office buildings. People wipe their ass with their hand. What are we doing? What are we doing? That is what you're importing into your country. Not people coming here for a better life, people coming up here to set up their ideology. And so I don't want to hear anything about it. I don't want to shake hands, certainly, with anybody from this country, for sure.
Now, some of these are old clips from,
Yeah, they do it with their left hand in our comments. Yes, they do it with their left hand, but even if you put out your hand for shake hands, it's considered an insult.
So some of these videos are older. I'm going to try to find some more current ones because I know some of these protests are still continuing today. But this is anti-migration riots escalate in Belfast, UK, as the sun begins to go. This was yesterday. Appalachian Liberty has this comment. That's because they're used to fighting against third world orcs and savages. When the European man finally chimps out, it's with militaristic efficiency and a stoic heart of stone. Nothing is done randomly. Nothing goes unplanned. Those who truly understand violence will be the last to agree to it and will do what's necessary to bring it to a quick and efficient end. So he says, hail the ancestors, God bless the IRA. The point is people are to a breaking point, and they're starting to consider this equation. They're starting to consider this process, the same process that cultural survival, what The Last Refuge was talking about here, following the first follower and the phase in cultural survival. That's what this is. And J.D. Vance, while he hasn't commented that I have seen on specifically what happened. Hang on one second. Let me find this. But this was before. I think this was in the wake of the Nowak murder. He said this, which is still applicable, I think, today.
Mm-hmm. So to everybody in the UK who rejects that idea, I'd encourage them to just keep on going. It's okay to want to defend your culture. It's okay to want to live in a safe neighborhood. It's okay to want your job to go to yourself and your neighbors and not to a stranger who you don't even know. It is reasonable for the people in Western societies to want to control who comes into their country and who doesn't. So everybody in the UK who
again, I want to be clear.
Idea,
I don't believe that snippet. That is not him responding directly to the fires in Belfast and everything else. But
yeah, that was an earlier comment.
But the point is, it is what it is. I mean, this is
like when you get fed up. You don't. I don't have to live by you. I don't have to live next to you. Just out of in the interest of getting along and however you want to call it, political correctness. I don't have to live by you. Everybody wants to talk about white flight. White flight exists for a reason, Paul. It exists for a reason.
It's one of the reasons also real estate prices are what they are, because people want to live away from danger and violence. And that also happens to have a demographic There's demographic statistics behind that.
I don't have to live by you. I don't have to assimilate with you. I am living my life. My job is to protect my family, to earn a living, and hopefully, the biggest key, make it to heaven one day. That is my only jobs here. I don't have to sit here and cater to your feelings, to the political correct crowd who says, "Oh, that's racist. That's racist to do all of this." So, at this point, I don't consider myself racist, but my God, you're making me, because you're trying to tell me that my opinion, my feelings, my viewpoint is invalid because of this white skin. That right there is the very definition of racism. And so don't call me a racist. You hate me because of my white skin. That is race. I don't hate you. I don't hate anything about you. But if you're a violent criminal, I don't want you living next door to me. I would rather move and get out of that neighborhood. If you are a black man, a Hispanic man, a Asian man, and you are a law-abiding citizen, welcome, neighbor. Welcome. I don't want to live next to you if you're a 15-time felon who might stab my son at a track meet because he says get out of his team's tent. It's not racist. I don't have to put up with it. And the people of Belfast are over it. The people in the United Kingdom are getting over it. And it's coming to the United States, folks. There's going to be an uprising, and we don't have to put up with it anymore.
This is an interview with retired Colonel Richard Kemp about, let's see, a British Army colonel warning of civil war. And basically says it's too late. Like, it's going to happen. There's no stopping it.
Government now, or no prospective government of the UK, has the guts to stop it. If they want to take strong action to prevent the Islamification of the UK, then it's going to mean big trouble for them. They don't want trouble. They look 4 years ahead. They will kick the can down the road to somebody else. And I think the end result of that is very likely to be civil war in Britain, where the indigenous...
Physical civil war.
Actual civil... I'm not talking about the American Civil War. No. Armies. I'm talking about something more like Northern Ireland, but on a much more intensive scale, where you have the indigenous British and the some of the immigrant population and the British government all on three different sides fighting against each other. And if I'd be very surprised if that doesn't happen, because there's no prospect of the government, any government today, stopping this from occurring. Government now or no.
And so I think he's exactly right.
Bad Moon.
The more fires. What did Bad Moon say?
Oh, he just agrees with me on that. He said he'll stand shoulder to shoulder with me, and I will with you too, brother.
Derek Evans says, if I ever have my head cut off by an African, then I'm begging you to please politicize my murder and push whatever agenda is necessary to make sure it never happens again. That's exactly right.
I mean, it's funny, but it's true.
It's totally
seriously.
True. It's totally true at this point. Please politicize my murder.
Dude.
Retard Finder is highlighting the new Lord Mayor of Belfast, Rios Marie Donnelly. This is what she said in her inauguration speech in June of 2026.
I can already tell by the look on her face.
9 days ago.
I love this city. I was born here, and I've lived in it all my life. It's a city made great by its people. More for it, I want to bring a message of diversity and inclusiveness to the year ahead. I was raised in an inclusive, welcoming environment where difference and diversity is embraced and celebrated, and I'm proud of that. My upbringing has shown me that everyone deserves to be and must be treated equally. I want a Belfast that does that in word and in action, no matter your background. I want a Belfast where language rights are respected and cherished because they belong to all of us. I want a Belfast where we champion the rights of the most vulnerable in our society and do so proudly without fear or favour. And I will never accept that undeniable rights are merely privileges to be given and taken from those in need by those in power. Diversity enriches our city and the lives of all of our citizens, and I will champion that diversity.
Diversity. So yeah, status quo there. Instead of a Lord Mayor, Belfast needs a Lord Protector. The concept of an Oliver Cromwell and a Cromwellian revolution in the UK, in Ireland, is never been higher than it is right now.
Somebody mentioned this in the comments about the British accent. I find the British accent to be like nails on a chalkboard. Okay,
which one? There's several.
Well, there's you have the very proper, and they're all a Cockney accent in it, and which almost sounds like Australian. That's not very good, but anyway, you've got multiple accents there, but I don't like any of it. I can get away with Cockney accent, but I cannot stand the proper British.
Right. And what about that? This
is Irish.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to say this. I think Irish is
kind of sexy.
I kind of like it. Yeah. I kind of like it. Now, I don't like her. I don't like her because she's an idiot for diversity and all of that stuff. But I like the Irish accent. It's just a little bit different if you can understand it, because sometimes it gets so thick that you can't understand it. Kind of like the way we do in the South.
Oh yeah,
like there's some people in the South you can't understand. What are you talking about there? You just want like that there.
So, what are the mainstream politicians saying about what's going on in Belfast? Here is the Home Secretary Chris Phillip. Okay, so he addresses the riots last night in Belfast. Now, keep in mind, Last Refuge says, what is the acceptable way to protest a government that has now created the possibility of your beheading as you travel to the supermarket? So what you have here is the polite society. They're not going to condone what's going on, so they have to try to thread the needle and say, well, it's never acceptable, but there is a real issue here. But the question that Last Refuge asks here is the appropriate one. What's the acceptable way to protest? And the truth of the matter is, people are saying protests are no longer a viable option. When you're burning down immigrant homes, you're beyond the protest.
But let me be clear, violence of any kind in protest is never justified. Innocent people should never be targeted, and nobody should ever set fire to houses or cars. Speaking as a father, no one should ever feel unsafe in their homes. The police, I hope, will bring the perpetrators swiftly to justice. I do understand, though, why people are angry. The suspect came into the UK illegally. He should never have been here in the first place. Mainstream politicians must now understand how angry the public are about mass illegal immigration. If mainstream politics does not stop this, the public will turn elsewhere. Since the election, 73,000 people have entered the country illegally via small boat, mostly young men. Many have committed serious crimes. I recently met the mother of Rhiannon White, a young woman brutally murdered by a Sudanese small boat migrant. There have been multiple rapes and sexual assaults, with victims as young as just 13. I've come over time to realise there is ultimately only one way to end illegal immigration: by leaving the ECHR so we can deport all illegal migrants on arrival. Then illegal migration will stop, and these appalling crimes with it.
So I agreed with almost everything he said, other than this should never happen. And I think we're at this point where, I said it earlier, this tipping point. And you're seeing that in some of these European countries with this uprising. But you're also seeing it, in my opinion, here. It's festering on the homeland.
Yep.
When there is and I'll say this. I was texting back and forth with you guys last night, or not back and forth, but I mentioned about Nancy Mace losing in South Carolina. Lady G, winning yesterday.
Yep.
Disappointing. I was kind of hoping Trump's streak of endorsements would go down.
With Lindsey only getting 56%, it was Trump's endorsement that carried him. Many analysts say if Trump hadn't endorsed, Lindsey Graham would have lost.
That he would have lost.
And you know what? That is a victory for the swamp. There is literally, you'll never convince me otherwise, that the swamp was protected and Lindsey Graham is the swamp. And it just is what it is. I mean,
So
it's unfortunate. Mark Lynch was a good God-fearing senator, would have been or a God-fearing man, would have been a great senator. So.
But whether you like it, whether you agree with it, whether you hate it or disagree with it, it's irrelevant. But Trump is the leader of the Republican Party.
Yep.
He has been for the last 10 years. And that's going to continue for at least 2 more years. We'll see how it goes beyond that. I don't know. But I think that that is more, I think it's less about, I believe in Trump and everything that he says, and more about, I'm rallying behind the only sledgehammer that I feel like we have to take a sledgehammer to the deep state, to this woke radical ideology. Why the hell is John Thune?
I got real John Thune vibes from this guy, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like, he's agreeing. He when he was asked about the obvious fraud that is happening in the California elections, what did he say? Yeah, that stuff just needs to be proven, and da-da-da. Or you could just have half a brain. No. Quarter of a brain. No. An eighth of a brain. And realize statistical improbabilities is fraud.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. And so you're sitting here trying to say that this stuff needs to be proven. You're saying the exact same thing that the liberals have said. Where's the investigative journalists? They're all liberals. Mm-hmm. So it's not happening. It's not happening. And so all of us are rallying behind Trump because at the very least we feel like, well, he's our only champion. He's our only one. J.D. Vance's and the Marco Rubios and all of this stuff. This is our people. These are our people. And we got to rally behind them. I think that you're going to see a similar uprising if this stuff continues to happen worldwide, but certainly if it starts happening more and more on American soil. And it is happening with illegal. When Venezuelans is called a Maryland dad, and you're a member of Tren de Aragua, you're a member of a Mexican gang, Venezuelan gang, and you're called a Maryland dad. You're just like, wait a minute, you beat your own pregnant wife. What the hell? I don't think you lose that Maryland dad, moniker here. You're a terrorist. You're an illegal immigrant. You are a foreign gang member, and you are on American soil illegally.
Yeah.
Get the hell out.
It looks like we've lost our stream.
Oh, no.
We may be live in some places, but we've definitely had a stream interruption.
Okay.
Looks like we've lost internet. We may have it back. Let's see here. Real quick. Trying to see what's going on here. We're having some streaming difficulties. Are we off of the chat? Now, it looks like we're back up now. We're back up to full capacity now. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So if you're just joining us, we had a mild stream interruption, but we are still here. Can you verify that it's back up? I'm showing that we are.
It shows that we're back.
Okay. All right.
Oh, wait a minute. No. So somebody's saying Wanda said that we're not back up. Oh, wait a minute. Eric just said back on now.
Okay. So, yeah, we're back on now, but we cut out. I don't know.
Refresh, Wanda.
Yeah, I just realized that when my internet went down and I looked at our stream health and I was like, whoa, something's not right. So,
yeah.
Anyway, we're back up now.
We're back.
I can tell you this. That the last this was an hour ago. Authorities have now just surged water cannons directly at protesters in Belfast after an African migrant tried beheading a local man. Yet the leaders don't care at all. Okay, so this is now what's going on in Belfast. Let's see if we can't pipe this in. Yeah. So
this is live on the liberal rag known as Sky News.
Yeah. So that's Sky News' coverage. And they're leaving. So
these are the anti-immigration protesters.
Yeah,
and they're spraying them with water.
So what do you do if this is so? I mean, this is what it kind of comes down to. Like I think taking to the streets and protesting and then the protests themselves being driven back with water cannons are just for people for Ireland, Northern Ireland, there's now like organized, according to some reports, organized like military type strategy going on. This, you would think, would just kind of embolden that. Okay, you won't let us protest. Well, no. So now it's going to be basically covert, more burning down of immigrant homes and that sort of thing. But we'll see. I mean, maybe this is just nothing. Maybe there's just outrage for a few days and then it goes away. I don't know.
Well, I mean, because all these people probably have jobs. So this is not going to continue like it does with liberal protests because these people don't work.
Yeah.
They're all living off welfare and, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see like if we have any recent developments here.
Yeah.
But
one of our, I guess it's Rockstar77 in our comments said, it's so funny. Unfortunately, I have a mild stream interruption in the middle of the night. And I'm like, I'm with you, dude. I got to go. I pee 15 times a night, so I haven't had a good night's sleeping forever.
So back on, so this is today. The Belfast victim remains in serious condition in a hospital after a savage medieval knife attack. The victim is a man in his 40s. He was attacked Monday night, on residential street near Antrim Road.
Let's look at his face again.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's absolutely insane, dude.
Okay, have you ever seen?
Looks fake. It looks like it's from a horror movie.
Yeah, what's the what's the movie? Who was the fabled monster hunter? Van Helsing. Have you ever seen the movie Van Helsing with
a long time ago?
Yeah, with the Wolverine
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman. Thank you.
Yeah, I
this looks like the guy, the Frankenstein from that movie.
Yeah,
that's what he looks like, and it's made more sad by the fact that that's a real human being man who had his face just obliterated here.
Yeah,
even if he recovers from this. Or is he dead? Or is he
no,
live?
He's alive.
Okay, so even if he makes a full recovery from this, he'll have those scars for the rest of his life.
And look, this is the asylum seeker.
This guy's got forehead for days.
But look at that. I mean, this is what's so incredible. I mean, you just look at the photo and you think, oh, okay, all right.
Well,
I might be able to coexist with that guy.
What is asylum? I come here because I'm afraid for my life. There's a lot of violence where I'm coming from. And then you cut up somebody's face. Maybe you're the problem. Maybe your country's exactly happy to have you gone.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you guys need to go read Camp of the Saints. If you haven't already, I got the book in the other room by that French author that now I can't. Raps Pale. It's incredible, and it's considered. It's considered unpolite. You shouldn't read Camp of the Saints, but the Camp of the Saints highlights exactly what Western Europe is experiencing right now, and the government's willingness to not do anything about it. It's incredible. Then we have
and on what planet? On what planet? Let's just say that guy, the 40-year-old guy with his face cut up. What if he said something racist?
Yeah.
On what planet? Does saying something racist in your home country against an immigrant who came there, where does that deserve your face to be carved up?
Exactly, and that's the whole point. There's this girl I saw this girl online in the wake of the protest over Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony, and she used the N-word, and you think, okay, I mean that's not worse than somebody being murdered.
Yeah,
it's not like but we got a significant portion of the population that thinks, oh no, that is.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you deserve to die if you say it.
Sure.
It's just absolutely insane. But RN McIntyre, a 17-year-old girl was raped by 4 Afghan migrants, including 16-year-old boy, for hours in Bristol. That was back on June 9th. You can understand why Belfast is on fire. And if they're not going to do anything about it, this is what you get. The leaders of the West are foxes, not lions. They rule through soft power, propaganda, and manipulation.
Yep.
They will use force when they must, but they are uncomfortable doing so and bad at it. Nothing terrifies them more than the possibility that the soft power has broken down. So this is Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister. The scenes in Belfast last night were shocking and completely unacceptable. There's no justification for the violence and disorder that we saw threatening our communities, nor for those who encouraged it, online or elsewhere. It is clear that people were targeted last night because of their background, and I will not tolerate it. Those responsible will feel the full force of the law. I've spoken to the Chief Constable of the Police Service of Northern Ireland to convey my thanks to them for their frontline emergency services for their bravery in keeping people safe. I've also spoken to the First Minister and Deputy First Minister to discuss the ongoing situation. Appealing for calm must be the priority, and that is what I urge now. We must let the police get on with their work.
And I will not tolerate it. Who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? You're not the citizens of this country that are fully over it. Yeah, I get that you're in this country and you're the prime minister and you're a complete douchebag, beta male. But to sit here and say that you will not tolerate, what the hell are you going to do? What are you going to do to 1 million people when they uprise?
And they're not afraid of you anymore.
They're not afraid of you anymore.
Yeah.
They're so sick of it. They're over it. They're parents who are tired of worrying that their daughters and wives are going to be the victim of rape, that they themselves or their other children are going to be the victim of assault, have their face carved up in case they might be perceived as saying something racist. My God, what have we come to? What has this world come to? And I know that violence and all of this stuff has always existed throughout humanity. I know that it's always existed throughout mankind. But I can tell you this, when the information age has happened, it makes it, you kind of find yourself so much more depressed about the future of the world that your kids are growing up in. Our kids, prayerfully, will far outlive us, Paul. What kind of world are they going to have? What about their kids? What kind of world are they going to have? It's going to be infiltrated by the third world who wants to kill them, who wants to rape them, who wants to put them completely out of power inside their communities and reduce them to nothing more than slaves. Our stand is now, and we've got to make it.
Let's see how I did. This is an actual clip of Keir Starmer. Take a listen.
People are rightly sickened by the horrific attack on Monday night in North Belfast. As you have just said, the man arrested has been in court in Belfast this morning and charged. I want to thank the Police Service of Northern Ireland and other first responders and members of the public who responded with such bravery. And our thoughts are with the victim.
No prayers, though.
But let me be clear, Mr. Speaker. The acts of violence and arson that followed are totally unjustified. This morning I spoke with the First Minister, the Deputy First Minister and the Chief Constable. And the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland is meeting leaders in Belfast today. We are united in calling for calm and determined to restore order, support the police, and all those.
Okay, so the reason I wanted to play that is because of what Megan Basham said. So she retweets this, but she comments, she says, start the deportations, announce that you're stripping all the anti-racist training from all government entities, and people will calm down. Seriously, for the sake of everyone's safety, do it now. I don't even think that would work.
Oh.
I really don't. I think they're at the point where, and honestly, the leaders of Belfast, they're if
it's why you get. I mean, I love Megan. Megan's a great follow. You can't speak in absolutes. If you'll change the word "and people will calm down," if you'll change it to "and people may calm down," you're leaving yourself an out there, because I don't think that that's to your point the guarantee here.
They wouldn't believe that the government would actually follow through with what they said.
No, they're just trying to be stopping this.
Let's calm
this
it
thing
down.
right here.
And it's literally the frog in the boiling pot of water. People.
I'm going to go full circle here, Paul.
Yeah.
Because of how we started this show. This is the first time I've ever sat here and empathize, sympathize. I get those two confused. Where I've not been in this situation, but I can understand it.
Yeah, that'd be empathy. I
Empathy. So I can have empathy for people who protest after, like black people who protest after, somebody's killed by police officers, because in their mind they feel as if everything is against them. Okay, everything is against them. Now it's a fallacy because we've looked at the numbers. We know that that's not true. Versus this, where it's 100% the truth. You've imported the third world country, and you're seeing the fruits of that. Mm-hmm. Are there law-abiding citizens who come in from this third world country? Sure, absolutely. But we're seeing that here in the United States. All of the illegal immigration that's come in, yeah, you're going to have great people who want to assimilate. But then what we have is all of these people who are coming in and just terrorizing because they were doing it in their home country. They got ran out of there, and they're doing all of this stuff. So, but it's the first time that I've ever sympathized with violence because you feel like you've got no other option. And that's where all of these people that you're seeing feel like they have no other option. What are they going to do? Their government's not listening to them. It's a woke ideology mind rot, and every damn one of those politicians need to be out of power.
Yeah, and it'd be one thing if they even allowed freedom of speech to organize politically to try to take back their country. But when you've instituted policies and then you're now more Great Britain is now more anti-free speech than Russia.
Sure.
Based on the statistics that are reported about how many people are arrested for social media posts there versus in the UK. Well, then you've got no other. If you're giving them policies that actually harm your sons and daughters, and then you can't talk about it to organize effective political resistance, you shouldn't be surprised. So when Keir Starmer says what happened last night is not justified, okay, what do they want to? What would make it justified? If they organized their own little continental congress, if they and got together and all voted to go to become violent, would it then be justified?
Oh yeah.
Does it need to be signed and minuted when you have a tyrannical government that is not allowing you to have peace and safety and security and is criticizing you when you notice it? I mean, to say it's not justified is I'm not so sure anymore. I'm not so sure, and that's not to say that I want innocent people to be harmed or killed, but it's not like this is crazy. This is what happens. This is what happens in nations for thousands of years. When you don't take care of your own people, they rise up and try to throw you out of power. This is not complicated. It's only in this weird little 20th, 21st century blip, which is completely perverse compared to the rest of the world. And don't get me wrong, like I get it. There's a lot of I would rather have peace than not, but peace at the expense of your own posterity, when your own posterity is looking at a world that will eliminate them, you got no choice. You got no other choice.
If you are from a different country, you are an immigrant to this country or another country or Belfast or whatever, what right do you have to live next to the citizens? I don't think you do. I don't think you have any right to live next to them. And what we've seen over and over and over again is that when you push people too far, the bomb will go off. Maybe in some cases literal, but mostly the figurative bomb will go off, and people are going to be over it. We're seeing that right now in the conservative Republican Party. The bomb has gone off. Either get in line, and whether you agree or disagree with that line, either get in line or you're out. And it's happening with Cornyn, with Cassidy, with Thomas Massey, with Nancy Mace, who I actually think a lot of. I don't know that I have any complaints about Nancy Mace, about her stuff. So we're seeing that in the Republican Party. We'll see how this continues to play out over the next couple of months.
Okay, so we're going to end the show today with a cringe-worthy video clip. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but this is I will say this. Behold the American politician. This is Congressman from Virginia, Bob Whitman, was asked a question about Speaker Mike Johnson.
Okay.
And instead of just saying, I don't want to give you an answer, decided to apparently fake a phone call.
Midas Touch is a liberal. They are the Huffington Post. They are
right.
Huffington
No, I
Post.
get it.
They are such a liberal rag.
It.
But they scored one with this.
I mean, it is what it is. And so here he is.
It's ridiculous.
For a minute and 42 seconds.
Congressman, what is Mike Johnson's secret plan to cut Social Security?
Hey, how you doing? I'm good. I'm good with that. Yeah, I'll be there in just a few minutes.
No response, sir?
I'm heading your way right now. Yeah, it's over at 416.
Congressman, what is Mike Johnson's secret plan to cut Social Security?
Listen, I appreciate that. I've got some more efforts that I want to talk to you about. There are actually more things that we have to be working on. Yeah, I want to make sure that we're putting
no response, sir.
Bill. Yeah, listen, thanks. I appreciate your help on this. I really do need some more of your input. Yeah, if you can actually reach out, I'll make sure that we do more of this. Yeah, listen, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, I believe me, I understand. There's more of those things that we need to work on. Yes. Well, thanks again. Listen, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Congressman, what is Mike Johnson's secret plan to cut Social Security?
Behold the American politician. I mean, what kind of psychosis do you have to? How insecure do you have to be? You could just refuse to talk to them. You could tell them, hey man, go away, kid. You're bothering me. Well, why do you feel the need to fake a conversation about working on legislation?
Tim Burchett just completely rolled his eyes back into his head watching that video, because Burchett, you can't have gotcha moments with him.
I know, he just would be real
because he knows that he lives on the side of righteousness. You live on the side of righteousness. What are you doing? You're avoiding these questions with a fake phone call. If I'm on the phone, it's going to be phone screen.
Yep, or black.
Yes, unless I purposefully click out. You would have to see someone click out of that and pull up another application to be able to do it. And then his conversation was like, oh, yeah. And he just immediately starts, oh, yeah, thank you for that. We got to do more of this and all this stuff. It's the most BS crap that you've ever heard in your life. It was fake, and it was ridiculous, and it makes us all look bad with a Republican next to our name.
It does. We deserve better, ladies and gentlemen. We got to demand better. Rob Spencer, I appreciate it, sir. Thanks so much for being on the show. And we're going to end the show. God bless everybody out there watching. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Red Vive Health, New Horizon Real Estate, Gateway Sight and Sound, Pet Club 247, and Sherrod Chiropractic. We'll see you guys tomorrow.